Your garden soil doesn't have to be something that gradually declines, requiring constant intervention and expensive amendments to keep it productive. What if I told you that November, often seen as the winding down month for gardeners, is actually the perfect time to establish plants that will create a self-sustaining soil ecosystem? These aren't just cover crops you till under come spring. These are strategic additions that work year-round, building fertility, preventing nutrient loss, and creating the kind of living soil that actually improves with age. Let's dive into the 10 plants that will revolutionize your approach to soil health and create a garden bed that truly never dies. Understanding living soil, beyond the myth of dead dirt. Before we explore our 10 soil heroes, we need to fundamentally shift how we think about what's beneath our plants. Most gardeners treat soil like a bank account that constantly needs deposits. Add compost in spring, side dress with fertilizer mid-season, mulch in fall, and repeat the cycle endlessly. This approach assumes soil is inert matter that holds nutrients until plants need them, but that's a dangerous misconception that keeps us trapped in a cycle of dependency and declining returns. True living soil is a complex ecosystem teeming with billions of microorganisms, fungi, and invertebrates working in concert to break down organic matter, cycle nutrients, and create soil structure. When soil is truly alive, it doesn't deplete, it regenerates. The secret to creating this kind of perpetual fertility lies in establishing plants that feed this underground ecosystem year-round, even during the dormant winter months. November planting gives these plants time to establish root systems before deep cold sets in, positioning them to begin their soil-building work the moment conditions allow. The Foundation Trio: Deep-Rooted Fertility Builders. Let's start with 3 plants that establish the structural foundation for your never-die soil system. Field peas are the first essential addition, and planting them in November gives you a massive advantage over spring sowings. These legumes send roots deep into the soil profile while their specialized root nodules harbor rhizobium bacteria that pull nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into plant-available forms. What's remarkable about November-planted field peas is that they don't just sit dormant through winter, they're actively growing whenever temperatures rise above 40 degrees, quietly building biomass and fixing nitrogen when most of your garden sits idle. By early spring, you'll have lush growth ready to chop and drop, delivering a nitrogen boost exactly when your garden needs it most. Crimson clover represents the second pillar of your foundation, offering benefits that extend far beyond simple nitrogen fixation. This beautiful plant with its distinctive scarlet blooms creates a dense root mat in the top 6 inches of soil, preventing erosion during winter rains and snowmelt while simultaneously protecting soil aggregates from breaking down. The roots exude compounds that stimulate beneficial soil fungi, particularly mycorrhizae, which extend the effective root zone of every plant in your garden. When you plant crimson clover in November, you're essentially inoculating your soil with microbial life that will persist long after the clover itself has decomposed. Austrian winter peas complete this foundational trio. With their remarkable cold tolerance and vigorous growth habit, these plants continue active photosynthesis and growth well below freezing. That means they're literally manufacturing organic compounds and feeding soil life through much of winter. Their sprawling vines create a protective canopy over bare soil, moderating temperature fluctuations and maintaining consistent moisture levels that allow decomposers to remain active. The thick, succulent stems break down rapidly in spring, releasing a burst of readily available nutrients, precisely when warm season crops are establishing. The Nitrogen Alliance: Air to Soil Alchemy. Moving beyond the foundation, our next 4 plants represent nature's most elegant solution to soil fertility: the ability to pull nitrogen from the air and deposit it into the earth. Hairy vetch stands as perhaps the most powerful nitrogen fixer available to temperate gardeners. Hairy vetch is capable of adding between 100 and 200 pounds of nitrogen per acre over a single growing season. When it's planted in November, it establishes a modest root system before winter, then, just explodes into growth in early spring, creating massive amounts of biomass that can be incorporated directly into beds or used as mulch. The key to hairy vetch's effectiveness really lies in timing. You must cut it down before seed set to prevent unwanted reseeding, but if you get this timing right, you've essentially created free fertilizer that cost you nothing beyond the initial seed investment. Fava beans bring dual functionality that makes them, honestly, just invaluable in the never-die soil system. Beyond their impressive nitrogen fixation capabilities, favas develop enormous root systems that break through compacted layers and create channels for water infiltration and air exchange. November planting is ideal for favas because they require a period of cold exposure for optimal production, and the cool season growth allows them to mature before summer heat arrives. White clover might seem diminutive compared to some of its leguminous cousins, but its value lies in persistence rather than dramatic biomass production. This low-growing perennial establishes quickly from November sowings and then maintains a living presence in your garden for years, continuously fixing nitrogen and feeding soil biology through every season. Winter rye rounds out our nitrogen alliance not as a fixer itself, but as the crucial companion that makes the entire system work better. Winter rye's extensive, fibrous root system creates the soil structure that allows nitrogen fixers to thrive, while its allelopathic compounds suppress weeds that would otherwise compete with your fertility builders. Planted in November, winter rye establishes quickly and continues growing through winter, creating a protective canopy that moderates soil temperature and prevents nutrient leaching during heavy rains. Comfrey deserves its reputation as a dynamic accumulator, sending thick taproots down as deep as 10 feet to mine minerals that other plants can't access. November planting allows comfrey to establish over winter, and by the following spring, you can begin harvesting leaves for compost or direct mulching. Each comfrey plant produces multiple harvests annually, and these leaves contain impressive levels of potassium, phosphorus, and trace minerals pulled from deep subsoil layers. Daikon radishes represent a different approach to soil building. They're not long-term residents but rather biological tillers that accomplish in one season what might take years of cover crop rotations. November is actually ideal for daikon planting in many climates, as these massive roots prefer cool weather and will size up dramatically through fall and into early winter. As the thick taproots push downward, sometimes reaching depths of 3 feet, they fracture hardpan and create permanent channels for water and air movement. Yarrow completes our guardian trio with its remarkable ability to concentrate nutrients in its foliage and stimulate the entire soil food web through complex root exudates. This tough perennial establishes readily from November plantings and then persists indefinitely, requiring virtually no maintenance while continuously contributing to soil health. Yarrow's deep roots break up compacted soil while accumulating sulfur, potassium, and copper from deep layers, concentrating these nutrients in leaves that can be cut and returned to the soil surface as mulch. Beyond soil building, yarrow attracts beneficial insects and predatory wasps that help control pest populations, creating an integrated system where fertility and pest management work hand in hand. These 10 plants, field peas, crimson clover, Austrian winter peas, hairy vetch, fava beans, white clover, winter rye, comfrey, daikon radishes, and yarrow, represent a complete toolkit for creating soil that perpetually renews itself. The beauty of November planting is that you're working with natural cycles rather than fighting against them, establishing plants when competition is minimal and moisture is typically abundant. Your main task now is simply getting them in the ground with good soil contact, providing light watering if conditions are dry, and then letting winter do much of the work. As these plants establish and grow through the cool season, they're fundamentally transforming your soil from an inert medium into a living, breathing ecosystem. The nitrogen fixers are pulling fertility from the air, The deep-rooted plants are mining minerals from subsoil. The dense growth is preventing erosion and nutrient loss, and the entire system is feeding soil microorganisms that will continue this work long after individual plants have completed their life cycles. You know, this isn't just about this year's garden. It's really about creating soil capital that compounds every year, becoming richer and more productive with each passing season. The maintenance required to keep this cycle going is, honestly, remarkably minimal. Annual species like field peas and daikon radishes will need replanting each November, but perennials such as comfrey, white clover and yarrow just continue their work indefinitely. All you really need to do is simply cut and drop biomass from these plants from time to time, letting it decompose right where it falls and feed the soil surface. This approach actually mimics how natural ecosystems build soil, and it works with the same kind of elegant efficiency. So, if you're ready to break free from the expensive, exhausting cycle of constantly amending your soil, and instead create a garden that actually improves itself year after year, these 10 plants are your starting point. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more practical strategies that can totally transform how you grow food and build soil. Share this guide with fellow gardeners who are ready to create truly sustainable gardens that thrive with minimal input. Together, we're not just growing plants, we're cultivating living soil that will feed us and future generations for years to come.